Hello everybody, this is Jeremy with Amada. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Pulsar Audio Poseidon. This is an emulation of a Trident A-range EQ and preamp section, and it is an extremely rare and sought after EQ. These things were amazing back in the day and are very sought after today. And I have actually been able to use 4 channels of a real Trident a few years back. It was pretty amazing. I really liked it, but it was way too expensive. I could not buy one. And this is a new take. This is the most modern interpretation of a Trident A-range EQ that you can find. Now, taking a look at it, you can see that this is a 4-band parametric EQ. You have absolutely 0 ways of controlling the Q factor because they were fixed Qs. But we have a low bell, a high bell, a low shelf, and a high shelf. And then you have the low and high cut filters right here. One thing you will notice is that the frequency selection is actually not stepped like the original hardware is. You could originally only select the set frequencies that you had, and then you had a slider that gave you up and down on your EQ curve. And if you actually look at this EQ graph shows you what the EQ looks like. And its shape actually changes depending on where it is. That is very much like the real Trident EQ. I really like that they modeled these subtle shifts in the way that it worked. Now, because Pulsar is always big on giving you extra control, you have mid-side, which is stereo, side, mid, and then again your mid-side mode. This is good for everything except for the high and low pass filter. That is going to always be, I guess, stereo or mono, whatever you're using. And you actually have 2 separate preamp emulations. So the Trident right here is the original Trident A-range saturation that you have in the original preamp section. You turn the drive up and it gets nice and crunchy. This Pulsar mode is actually a more modern interpretation, which is something they do a lot. They have their own version of it. And I find that this is a little bit cleaner at times, but then when you get super crunchy, this seems to be more crunchy at the extreme ends. You can also bypass this to give yourself a clean EQ. And we also have a transformer section, which was not in the original unit, but this is added to give you some extra low end. Now, mode 1 is a Marinero transformer. Now, this is the same transformers that is inside of Neve EQs and consoles. I actually have 2 Neve EQ preamps, one 1081, and a couple of Neve compressors here with me. And I love that this has something that emulates that transformer. It's very, very thick and helps fill up the bottom end. Now, this is very dependent on the drive control. So if you have the drive all the way up, you actually get a lot more of the transformer saturation. Mode 2 is, again, the Pulsar version of this transformer. And you'll notice that mode 2 at extreme settings actually creates this like low frequency resonant control where like on something like a kick drum or a snare drum, if you have this cranked all the way, you can almost hear subharmonic frequencies being generated. We'll show you that later on. Other than that, we have scaling control, which will basically give us 100% scaling or dial back the EQ. And then you have your volume, plus and minus, 12 dB, and then your auto gain control. You have your A-B section, B to A, save as, presets, your undo, redo. You can have this look like an original Trident. You can have it look like the modern UI, which I think is the best. And then you have the combination of both. The only thing that I will say is that it looks like the high and low pass filters are much different than in the original unit. In the original unit, you did have the ability to click the button and then instantiate the next one to give you like a more aggressive filtering. So if, let's say I wanted to do 75 Hertz, I would kind of hit 50 and 25 and it would kind of look something like this. The only thing that is a bit of a bummer is because we don't have anything past 200 Hertz, we're not able to have 250 and 25. Now, you never really use that, but at times I would actually do a little bit of a weird filtering for something that I wanted to have lo-fi. And it's something that I do in other Trident plugin emulations. Now, you do have options for stepping your gain, stepping your frequencies, and stepping your high and low pass filters, as well as oversampling, but that is all standard stuff for Pulsar Audio. So let's just go in and take a listen to this demo. We're going to get rid of this. And we are going to have the Poseidon that's on my guitar, kick, and snare. We'll play this track, and then I'm going to bypass each and every one of them. and you can hear what happens when they all turn off. So here we go. Cool. So that's a huge change. Let's just jump straight into this. Taking a look at my guitars, I am using just amped knob Trivium for both the left and right guitars. And then I'm using the Get Good drum. I believe it's Cali cabs for my cabinets. And then I'm using Tone Boosters Equalizer Pro. This is a really good EQ just to get rid of resonant frequencies, because I am using virtual instruments for these guitars. After that, I have Micro Shift at the very end, and then Poseidon is just before that. So let us grab a default preset, and let's see what we can do. So the first thing is I'm hearing a little bit of a buildup of low frequencies. So let's get rid of some, maybe around 50 hertz. Let's enhance some mid frequencies. And then I want to use the high shelf in side mode to make it sound a little bit wider. Finally, let's use the drive section. That's done a really good job of doing some drastic tone shaping. If you hear the very, very top end, when I bypass it, you hear this fuzz. I don't know if you're going to hear this on YouTube, because YouTube does truncate the low and high frequencies, but there is a noticeable kind of aliasing from the amp sims that I'm using, and I'm hearing this at the very, very high end. So filtering out and using the high shelf is helping it kind of sound brighter while getting rid of that. The drive knob, I'm noticing that the Pulsar drive is not as dynamic. It's more consistent, even though it's less quenchy until you get into more distorted territories. The Trident one is more dynamic. I hear it breathing and pumping more, where the Pulsar one is more consistent. Overall, pretty good. Let's move on to the kick drum. Now, this one I did just for fun. And let's just listen to this kick drum. What if we turn off the distortion and add the transformer? You hear that harmonic? It's really cool. Transformer 2 gives us a more harmonic enhancement algorithm, which is actually what it says. I just realized I said it right there. Cool. So the next step is let's get rid of some low mids. And then we'll use some saturation. It's a subtle change, but it is definitely making it slightly better. Let's go to the snare drum. Cool. Let's take a listen to all three of these in and out of the mix. So here's all three on, and we'll take them off after. Cool, and that's going to be it for this video. I thought it was pretty good. I think with the kick drum, I could really dial things in a little bit better. If I look at my A section, I had some pretty similar settings, but I used a little bit less aggressive filtering, I think, or more aggressive filtering. But I used a different transformer section. But overall, just changing things up can always give you some cool ideas. I really love it on the snare. It made it significantly louder by adding so much distortion, but also kind of helped it cut through. And then on the guitars, I think it did a fantastic job. It's very smooth sounding, especially when you have something that's harsh. You're able to dial back with the low pass filter while bringing things up with the shelf. I think this is a really cool EQ. And if you are looking for a very powerful and flexible, colorful EQ that you don't have one of, I would highly recommend grabbing a demo. It's a 14-day demo, so you can see if this fits your workflow. For me, I definitely picked it up. I really like it. I'm going to keep this. I think this is right on par with my UAD and my Red Rock Sound one. Actually, way beating out my Soft Tube one. I own all of those. And I think this one is going to sit in really, really well right next to it. Anyway, that's it for this video. This is Jeremy with Him. Please remember to give us a comment. Let us know what you think. And like, subscribe, and share if you guys like. Thanks very much. I'll see you guys later. Bye.